this thing looking at me?
Yes.
Only if you start talking.
The two white eyes are gonna be a little distracting.
It's like an owl. Same thing on the other side there.
Oh, yeah, that's good, yeah. Actually, there's no way.
Yeah, that's nice. I'm just using that, so. Hello. Hello.
Yeah.
How are you? Good, how are you?
When did it use that? Or did it
A long time ago, but.
doesn't work?
Hmm?
Does it work?
Yeah. Kind of hard to get like Luther, but, well. I'm not worried about that part of it. I might just do this. That's fine.
Our show time today.
Any comments?
They represent our sure.
You're gonna shop it around? Lovely. I don't like the play up, do they?
I'm so small, there's not a lot of room there.
And there's a stupid fly.
I know, it's trying to kill him before.
I wasn't there in like nada.
Yeah, there's so many. It's fun.
I fell asleep before I woke up for 26 seconds.
Yeah, not enough time to get. And
This-
just ran out the clock.
This one.
About 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did look pretty cool with all the white shirt, with all the white though. It did look cool.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, did you wear what? My son did too.
Yeah.
I was really surprised, I mean, really, everybody did.
Yeah, there were, that
Perfect people. Did you got the money? People spent it.
was,
Everybody got.
there were a lot of people that had brand new white shirts.
Yes, I looked at, my son sent me the picture.
Like a couple $100 a pop.
I was like, oh my God, I knew they
Oh, they
were,
lost
I knew.
a lot, I had a t-shirt.
You know, it's just,
So
like,
from
yeah,
what-
I was wearing a t-shirt, yeah.
Sorry, the sign sheet? Yeah. Otherwise. Yes. Yes. No.
Oh, she went. You did big ass.
It's white.
Well,
This song, girls are fun. You know.
yeah. Yeah. And that's the other part. Like that, and then says, no.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, no, you don't need that. Yeah.
That's. This.
I know.
It's so interesting. Right. Well,
You want to be able to do that.
it's part of the folks that he cooks small. Like I said, then we have one other reason.
Yeah, it's great. So we can do that dinner when you
Yeah. They were going to do that. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you need to get it. You know, yeah. Just never know.
Oh, that's.
What?
Well.
I'm sure that has all organized and stuff, you know. I'm just saying, I'm saying, I'm good thing I can teach you from you. I'm saying, trying to.
And that's here.
We can just go right through the door, right? Yeah. That's such a wow.
I know, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I know it's very some drivers. Just under places. You find ice cream that or also is over the same. Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. It's not. Practice. So.
On the time, I don't want to play it.
It's also the. Yeah, one way.
It's like a positive.
Get to go there. And you do say, I don't want to. And you can do it. Also, this kind of version of the other yourself and it's schedule. Yes. Which, yeah, and tell me. What was must go on as some time, that's 4 groups on the earth. If we put it on in the November, that's. That's. Or it's also very important. I think that the worst time that ever really is more like.
Yeah.
Just when you have in some kind of interesting.
Right.
That's the mistakes and all.
Yeah.
You could have read the big force.
Right.
Yeah, 4 years.
So I have my meeting this morning, but I want to go off on the calendar for whatever. Hey, man.
And then after three.
Okay, so you have, oh, so you didn't, we have another in? Thank-
He didn't know the other people.
Right. Right. I don't know, now that you do 2 weeks versus everything else, it's like. We have no job. That is the issue. I'm all over the-
I haven't seen that. I double checked my email today.
Yeah, and I didn't look on this, Right. It's just. What if we have more? I can look against.
Yeah, 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
7 o'clock, welcome everybody to the town board.
The United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Don't you know, we went through. With all the, you put numbers together and put it into a kind of budget, gone through that.
Do you want me to call the roll?
Oh, we could call a roll.
Councilwoman Morale,
Here.
Councilman Chase,
Here.
Councilman Kies,
Here.
Councilman Brown,
Here.
Supervisor Williver.
Here. So we're gonna go over budget or the numbers tonight, it looks like we're gonna be able to stay over 2%. So we won't need to pass that, so. Motion. And we'll get started.
Maybe you could, give us a little recap of the calculation of the percentage of the budgeted increase or not, if you could walk us through that.
So salaries were calculated at 3.2%.
No, I meant the budget, the tax cap,
So the tax cap was at 2%.
flat 2% increase.
Yep. Which equals $26,842.
That's the full 2%.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know if anybody has questions, but if you don't, I'm gonna jump right in because I spent a lot of time. And I sent it all to you, everybody, my worksheets.
I tried looking at it.
Oh, it's hard.
Yeah, I know.
Look here, there's a lot. Because there's tabs on the bottom and stuff, I use the spread. Given me and working with that. And I guess. I can start asking questions and then we can discuss it or not or whatever. But I guess if you wanna look right at the fund balance. worksheet, we'll just go right down to the thing and looking at that, I noticed one thing that jumped out at me was the calculation of the fund balance as a percentage of the proposed budget with regard to the highway fund. And see that that is at 32%, which is, to me, alarms go off because that is dangerously close to the very lowest threshold that the New York State Comptroller's Office says we can be. So that we have enough working capital. So when I saw that, I thought, wow, okay, we haven't been that low. And we are, by the way, overall, looking at using almost $1 million, just short of $1 million out of the fund balance to make this budget work with a 2% increase. So that's how much it has to take, and out of out of the townwide budget is using $362,463 of the appropriated fund balance, the highway. $569,000, over $500,000 coming out of the highway fund to meet what they're proposing in their budget.
That involves the truck that we're buying first thing in the beginning of the year.
So we can talk about the reasons why, but this jumps out at me when I'm looking at doing analysis. Okay, to me, that says, okay, it warrants further looking into, so we should do that.
Mhm.
And try and explain why that is, because we spend a lot of money on highway equipment, as you know, last year. Between 24 and this year, and a lot of new equipment. And it's taken its toll, obviously putting us at a very dangerous level. And if there's things that we absolutely need, well, then let's discuss that. But maybe there's things that need to be cut elsewhere. So,
The new plow truck we're gonna do, because if we didn't purchase one now, and looking towards possibility of having to purchase an electric one. A battery powered one, so we had to purchase this between 25 and 26, that's 300 and.
Yeah, 331. 332,000.
And we had to purchase it then. And split it over 2 years.
Yeah.
And there's been a bunch of equipment for the highway department, which is putting us in this position, but. Desperately need to replace, and we got a deal that will save us money in the long run. And it's gonna be tight next year.
But there was a conversation we had about the trucks, because the dealer had only so many credits they could work with.
Yeah.
so again, if that's what we're facing, we look at that, we need to make a notation of that. There was, very little notes attached to this budget as to specifics as to why. And I think we need to know exactly, and I know we've had a lot of discussions about highway equipment, so I'm not denying that. I'm just saying that maybe if that is true, we need to look elsewhere to try and maybe trim something somewhere else. And I have some comments about that when we get to the highway.
Well, he did put together a schedule for replacement of equipment that should be a little bit less aggressive than before, but we just got to a position where. Stuff became available. This year, it's gonna save us in the long run, and so it made more sense to move on the plan we did.
So. Because we're talking about machinery, equipment. And capital outlay of $377,000. Put in this budget for next year, which is 135% increase over the current year budget. And I know that we shuffled money around, I believe, Janice. Didn't we do some account transfers last year, this year with getting money to pay for the equipment that we are already bought? Or not?
Backhoe money out of the,
Sewer fund,
the
there's
drainage
drainage.
and. Just to make it work.
Well, and the equipment's being used for drainage.
Yeah.
The backhoe, I
Yeah.
mean, that's one of the main, so half got covered by highway, half got covered by drainage.
So I guess I would like to see an explanation for the requested increase. So that we can share that with our residents who are gonna foot the bill.
What page are you looking
I'm right now just looking at the highway, because I started talking about the highway, because I was concerned about the. You know, appropriating so much of the fund balance that we're down at 32%, which is, you know, that alarm bells should go off. And so we can continue to talk about the highway if you want while we're on it. I noticed that the requested raises are at 4.2%, whereas everybody, for the most part, is looking at 3.2. So maybe there's some trimming back that we could do there.
So
could be
that,
done.
that all comes down to the increase in overtime due to this past winter being way more significant and getting trimmed down the 3 or 4 years prior to that.
So
Um,
the hourly rates actually only got approved for the 3.2.
Well, then why is the overall budget at, I'm just asking, I said.
Just because of what
asking
you-
For an
right.
explanation as to why it's 4.2 and everybody else.
Because
is
of the
3.2.
increase of hours,
Anticipated overtime.
the hours of overtime that are anticipated.
Okay, so if that could be written in and explaining why that is. Um. You know. Snow removal up for personal, I'm talking about personal services up 13.1. Other government services up 10.6. And of course, there's some things that are hard to. They're not within our capabilities, is the hospital medical insurance. In the highway department is projected to go up by 24.3%.
Mhm.
So I guess I'm asking for you, for everybody to work with the highway department to look at this budget again. And try and see if there's any trimming that can be done. Because we're at 32%.
The trimming that can be done is less services. If that's what the people in Town Rush want, then. You know,
Well, then, I suppose you wanna ask the town of Rush. People, do they want a tax increase to do that? I don't make the final decision, I'm pointing out the things that when I'm doing. My analysis as what I was hired to do. To look at just this and figure out like, okay, so where else? If things are out of our control, then where can we look? To
So-
try and prop that up.
the out of control part is the cost of equipment. So during COVID, going back, now 6 years, I mean, we were unable to purchase equipment. Just due to its availability, it just wasn't there to be, had along a steady, I guess,
Supply.
supply or to, replace pieces of equipment one at a time. We went a long time without buying anything. Now we're, having more significant winters and, if we have to replace the equipment that's old in order to still be able to maintain, having your roads plowed every morning when you get up to go to work, or everybody in town for that matter. And that also increases the overtime and, so on and so forth.
Anybody have any comments or questions?
As far as cutting back services, we can't do that.
We-
DT's got more work than he can do this year. And the flooding situation has added a lot to his plate that wasn't anticipated. You have to try to build a detention pond of chases. That's gonna take time and resources. We have to try to do something to make the town also, it doesn't flood when we get a heavy rain, which seems to come every 5 years or so. I mean, we can, and our insurance is getting canceled probably, we'll know November 1st. Because of the claims we've had, because of the water damage that. We need to do something about, and the highway department is what's gonna do that for us, so we can't cut, I mean. We can't cut back on services. We just can't.
And there's other, people in town that also need services, due to the flooding and stuff like that, it's going just to take time to, be able to go in and maintain, certain drainage things and, it's going to take time and equipment.
We got pulled off fixing Lyons Road and Kavanaugh Road and things you can't really anticipate. So, I mean, it would be great if we could add another highway, but that's another $100,000 in the budget, and we can't do that, so we gotta do with what we have. As far as cutting back, I mean, we're pretty much bare bones as it is. You're down 2 people or a person and a half.
Yeah, in 2017, the person that had stepped down and quit, he was never replaced, so, I mean, we're a guy short. He was replaced by a part-time person for winter dispatch. But he's not here all summer long in order to, pick up some of the stuff and, they all receive vacation time and that kind of stuff, which we allow them to do, and it makes it tough to manage that crew. And also try to keep all our residents happy.
Okay, well, we're not deciding on the budget tonight, we're
No,
looking
I'm
where
just
we
giving you
are.
my answer.
And it's not up to me. There's 5 of us here,
Yeah.
and I'm just pointing out the stuff that jumped out at me, where, that needed an explanation. So
Yeah, that
not
is
picking
more-
on anybody, but we need to justify to our residents why we're asking for this, that, or the other thing.
These numbers, like that increase the health insurance, but those are covered when we're doing county work, state work,
Yes,
correct?
yes, when we were plowing snow and working for Monroe County on their jobs, they cover our fringe benefits, so our insurance, our retirement, our health insurance. All through all that, and we do quite a bit of it.
So yes, we're fronting the money to cover the insurance, the health insurance, for example, but we are getting that back in some fashion,
In revenue.
not to the full extent, but in some
revenue,
fashion,
yes.
yes.
That's built into the revenue number,
Mhm.
so our bottom line is the bottom line. I mean, everything's in there if you look in the revenue number.
Right, and if I had a crystal ball, I'd be able to tell you exactly what we're gonna get, but, I mean. If Monroe County comes back next year and says, hey, you don't have any work in the town of Rush, I mean. There's, other than snow plowing, there's no work.
I just think it's hard to predict what your winter's gonna be like. And you had a winter like last year where we didn't have a ton of like huge snowstorms. But it was almost every single day, a little bit of ice or something that, we had to go out and take care of.
I remember.
You don't know what's gonna happen, so you do have to kind of hedge a little bit. And as far as the equipment purchases, I mean, we had talked about it at every board meeting where something came up, and it just seemed like looking at the schedule that DJ developed for equipment replacement, it was like, well, we're gonna do this in a year or two. We can save $60,000 if we jump on this now. And then if we wait 2 years, it could be, it was $60,000 at that point. It could have been $80,000 if we waited 2 years, the way that the price of equipment goes up.
Oh, I know, and that's why we've made the decisions that we
Right,
made.
so I mean, but just talking about where the fund balance is now, it's like, well, we just. I think we made pretty sound decisions as far as updating equipment, and I think. If we follow that schedule that DJ's developed. As we need to update equipment, it's gonna be worth more. When we go to replace it, and we'll gain a little more revenue. So I think we're on the right track, but I think that initial. That initial jump into it is what stings the most. In my opinion, so. I don't, it's just one of those things that's tricky, and you hate to be caught in the winter where you need it, and. All of a sudden, we gotta transfer a bunch of funds or. Do something to get our guys paid or to buy salt or. Be caught in them. I just hate to be caught in a bad position.
Does anybody else have any comments on the highway part of the budget? Positive, negative, or move on to the next one?
That's pretty much what we have to do.
Okay. I'm gonna go backwards to the general fund. Which is the biggest. The most pieces to it. I had some questions on the revenue side. I'll wait till you get there.
Yeah. And over the.
And, account number 2170.00, which is engineering fees reimbursement. I know that we had some reimbursement in there, we kind of like don't keep track of that, I just don't know, and we'll talk about that. I think in more detail when we get down to the expenses for legal and engineering and, you know, how we're maintaining that, so I'll reserve my question regarding that, as I think we deserve more detail.
Well, one of the, go ahead.
That and Martin has been on top of that, we're
We
current.
have a Whole
We've
spreadsheet.
got some of the old Crown Castle.
And there's
bills
numbers in
that
there.
were- Crown Castle bills that were 3, 4 years old, finally got paid off. Jake Prue, he's on a payment plan, just about everything that's been put off has been collected at this point.
Yeah, you can see there's a year to date so far and a year end projected. The reason why we put 0 is we had talked about when Marjorie did her budget. To hopefully start to do the fees right at the meetings, so that way we're not trying to get reimbursed later.
But sometimes we don't know what they are till we get billed by the engineers and the attorney.
Well, and that's what she's trying to work on, to get the bill ahead of time, get it. You know, finalized, so that way they know by the time they're picking up their permit or whatever exactly what it is.
We're working on like a billing schedule for this project is doing this, this is what you're gonna be looking at, so when people come in, they know what's going on and how much they can expect to pay, which then when they do get the bill, they know that it's coming. That was the hard part. Before, it could be this, it could be that, and then you know, get bills out on in a timely fashion, and it's like, what the hell is this? And it's like, I didn't pay it.
I know.
I do, but
You
the
know,
whole
or
process has got better.
maybe for some of you people don't remember or realize that, but we had to perform an audit. In the town here. We had an audit done because we were not doing that. We weren't billing and collecting the fees that the town was laying out for various projects. And it made us realize that, you know, what was it, $50,000 we didn't bill over time? It was a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you're collecting it. I never see anything and I never see a receivable or hear about, you know, whether we've been successful in collecting those.
They've been working on it.
Yeah, but you get that in your monthly reports, right in that line, you can obviously see what we've already collected year to date.
I guess I just don't
6/30 and-
see an overall receivable account. I'm hoping that one exists, is what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
But just like all the revenues, they go into the revenue account.
Just asking to make sure we have some kind of accounting, because we didn't. We didn't have, it was obvious, that was proposed, so I'm not making that up. It didn't. On the interest and earnings, account 2401, you put in there $75,000.
Mhm.
What rate are you assuming?
So no rate specific, I'm just doing averages with the trends.
Because interest rates are trending down. For anybody who's investing, it's good if you have to borrow money, but if you're investing, that's going down.
Right, but they're actually talking about them going back up.
They
After
are.
the, yeah,
Who is,
some
who's
of the,
that?
so some of the financial podcasts that I listen to,
Well,
as they're estimating what's coming.
I just want to make sure we're not overestimating.
Well, and that's kind of why I did it low.
That's low.
Well, I mean, we're looking at probably over 70,000 this year, so.
Yeah, and we're
And I
using
did
our fund
75.
balance, we're drawing down our fund balances. We're not gonna have as much invested.
We can always make it lower if you'd like.
I'm just, you know, I don't wanna have a shortfall and, you know. I'm throwing this out there, these are my observations.
No, that's fine, I appreciate it.
And
You think we should vote that?
It's totally up to you guys. I mean,
well,
we're
you're the
already,
budget director,
yeah, I mean,
That affects
personally,
the percentage at the end, right?
but of course, if we have less money, we either have to raise taxes or pull more out of
the
the
fund balance,
fund balance.
right?
So I'm just, I highlighted it, I sent it all to you to think about. Again, this is a workshop meeting, so let's,
You sent it today.
I did.
Okay.
I sent one last week and then I spent another 6 hours today. Going through it all again and highlighting and making a little bit more detailed notes so that you could see it. Pull it up, it's all there. Same thing I'm looking at.
Just, well,
It is very hot on the phone. I wouldn't recommend it.
We want to step that back to 70,000? Or do you think that's enough?
I mean, personally, I'm fine with either. I don't think it's unreasonable, but I mean, if we want to hedge on the safe bet, we can go with 70.
Anybody else?
I think probably 70 is a safer bet, to the points that Gene brought up. I mean, if we do have less money, that's less money generating
Right.
interest, so. Probably, probably the same way I feel about the highway department. Hedging to get ahead of. Maybe some snowstorms or something like that, I think we kind of have to take the same, in my opinion, the same approach here.
Luke, are you okay with that?
Yep.
Derek? Want to change that, Janice?
Yeah, I'll do that.
She's making notes.
Mhm.
Building permits at 20,000. There's no note, so I don't know what the rationale was for that. I know that we had. Put that in our budget for this current year. And our year end projected is at 12,000. Which is not 20. Just asking.
You did spend some time with John. Did he state any certain permits or anything that were coming through?
I don't know.
Well,
I-
it has slowed down the last couple of months.
It's on, yes, it is. It's just a budget, which is, you know, it's a guideline. I just wanna make sure that we're not over anticipating our income. I mean, I hope we get it. I do. You know, if there's some big projects or whatever, but I'm just asking a question because we're anticipating 12 for this whole current year.
For it. Usually we're, the 100. Anything like that.
We can,
What would you wanna bring it back around to?
We didn't get paid out because of.
What's that?
When they opened the permit.
Pardon?
Fast job. Building permit question. Got it.
Right here, for year to date, I'm down about 20 permits from what we were last year. And I'm right now about $13,800 in revenue for the year to date. And we upped it was traditionally $15,000 every year. And for several years, right after COVID, we saw a large surge in the number of permits. So we figured let's shoot for 20,000. What we don't have this year is either the big solar fields. We don't have any large projects looming, so the 20,000 may have been a reach. Like I said, right now, for the end of the third quarter, I'm at 13,000.
You said historically it was always at
I
15,000.
was at 15,000 for the first, I think, 3 years that I was here, and then we raised it to 40,000 because of the solar projects. And then the last 2 years, it's been at 1.
Should probably drop that down to 15. Small. Yeah.
Hopefully things pick up.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
And hopefully things pick up.
Yeah, I'd rather
Yes.
that happen.
Everybody's happy.
Moving down to account 2706, grants from other local governments. 19,960, this is still in revenue.
Yep.
Versus 8,500 in the current year. I'm just asking a question, what was that based on?
that's the ARPA, grant for the seniors.
Does that still exist?
Yeah, and it should carry through next year.
The
Yeah.
same amount?
No, so she got a total of, I believe it was 36,000, so she's used so much this year, and then this'll be what's
They'll
remaining for
shelf
next
lunches-
year.
Lunches for next.
Okay, that's good, because that will answer my question further down on the cost. Since we have that grant, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's not gonna be awesome, but yeah.
No, but for now,
We're gonna have so much sense.
we'll have to, you know, pursue other grants. We need people to be looking for grants. There's money out there. People get grants for things, so,
Yeah, spend a lot of time doing it.
yes,
Mhm.
she does. And she's been successful in getting grant for the town, so she.
Good.
Keep it up, man. I'm down into the appropriations now. Account 1010.4, town board contractual. We have $8,000 in there for something, which is higher than historical, way higher. And I don't know, what is the town's board planning? for that?
Yeah.
It's local laws.
So it's your general code, it says, so that's your local laws that we were talking about, that you guys have the choice to decide.
Didn't we add that because of all the residential code changes that we're proposing making?
Yeah.
Okay,
Historically, it's been 5,000 that's been put in, and it's usually in my budget. But because the town board makes decisions on the local laws and how many to do, and it's increasing and increasing.
okay.
So anything we do that changes code. It's coming
Mm-hmm.
into that.
Yeah, it can be pieced together. So it maybe lowers the cost, and I talked to the supervisor about when to pay it, when is a good time.
So who do we pay to do that?
General code.
General code,
General.
okay.
Mhm.
I was looking at some of the personal services, legislative board, 3.2%. That's right in line with the trend. Municipal court personal services, 3.2. Justice clerk, 3.9. Higher than the 3.2. Do we know why? Some of these things don't by themselves look like a lot of money, but as we go through this, we'll see that it adds up.
I think it has more to do with the hours of the new girl. It's different than Sally's hours were, if I remember correctly.
If you could look into that,
Yeah, I know they gave us the hours. I have to look into it.
I'm just pointing it out, and if we could get some answers, that would be good. I'm not saying you have to do it all now, but if you know an answer, that'd be great.
Yeah, when Ryan went over his budget, he stated that the hours would be different for the new clerk versus the old clerks that they had for this year.
Well,
So that's what it
saying
comes
it,
down to.
you know, if you have an explanation, put it down, because we gotta look for. We gotta look for things that maybe, could be thin. I see that the supervisor of personal services has backed down to the 3.2 instead of the 4.4. Got a lot of, feedback on that one.
Really?
Yeah, he did. I still wanna talk about that for a minute though. No offense. This is not a review of
Mhm.
your capabilities. But, you know, we did last year double your salary,
Well, I double my time too.
but. With all due respect, you know, the job had been performed. At the, I guess, the reduced hours. For years,
No. Yeah.
good
Yeah.
enough.
Person in that position. Put in well more. Well, put in just about full-time hours.
I'm not denying that, I'm just saying that they didn't get paid for that. Right or wrong?
I think that you have to look at, I mean, if we're talking about past people in that position, they were largely retirees, they had a pretty healthy pension coming in from their career earlier, and so they had the time and they didn't need the revenue. When you look at somebody like Dan coming in, or anybody in the future that maybe like they had a job. I mean, Dan had a business that he was running, making a living off of, and could no longer perform it because of the hours required to do this, so
I
you,
am sure all of that is absolutely true. But. He ran on. And got elected, he didn't have to take this job.
and I understand, but I don't, just from me. On the outside looking in. Unless you are in the supervisor's office, and I was there for just a couple of weeks, and there's a lot that takes place and a lot that goes on. I don't think that. I don't think that you understand the whole workload until you're actually in that seat dealing with that. So, I mean, to say, well, he took the job, well, yeah, I mean, he took it as a part-time position and then he got here and he said that
And it's not a part-time.
to do it effectively, I think, you know, it's kind of eye-opening. So, I mean, I supported going full-time, we voted on it and I'll stand by it. It's not a part-time job and it's just, it's not the way it is.
Okay. I'm sorry. You wanna say something about that?
No, there's no talking from,
Well, some people talk anyway.
there's no talking from the audience. Not a public hearing.
I have sent you guys in the past what, you know, the supervisor makes versus what other supervisors in the county make.
So that's. Look, I appreciate what the supervisor does or what the position calls for, but. You know, comparing it with other towns, we're a small town. We don't have half the stuff going on that, you know, whatever towns you're comparing it to, and I don't. I know you sent us stuff and I don't have that in my head right now with all the comparables, but. You know, it's hard to compare Brush to Henrietta or Mendon or Greece or Webster, you know, with. All that they do and all that's going on, so that's hard, that's hard. I'm just pointing stuff out.
Right.
Anybody can say what they wanna say.
I'll just say that anytime that any kind of question comes up, it generally is, Dan, can you look into that? And there's 4 people on this board that have computers and have, they could also look into it, that could possibly cut my hours. Somebody wants to step up and look into any one of the projects that's going on, perfect. But I don't see a lot of that. Everything comes to my plate and I take care of it. I mean, and I signed up for the job and I love Rush and I mean, this is my entire life. And that's just the way it is. But it takes a lot of time. It just does. My 2 cents.
Okay. Account 1220.102 supervisor secretary. The increase is at 3.4 versus 3.2, just questioning.
That must be it, it should be 3 quarters.
Well, it could be just the hours.
Well, you're budgeting a number. You're budgeting a number that my math says is at 3.4. I used the same formula all the way down, so,
We'll adjust that.
okay.
Yeah, cause her hours didn't change, right? And there was no hour change.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So.
Okay. And here's another one. Under account 1220.4.
So I will just tell you, I just rounded up. I was gonna say it's just a rounding. Cause it comes out to 21,465.60, so I can round down.
Okay,
Cause you budgeted 21.5 and what was the actual number?
21,465.
that's what I said. You know, I'm doing my due diligence here and it's if there's a, you know, an explanation. Let's hear it. The next one that I highlighted was the supervisor contractual expend account budgeted for 34,500 when it's been this year expected to be 14,000. So I don't know what's in there, what we're doing.
Change different things that the supervisor's responsible for.
Okay,
So,
signs, you mean? What is that?
so that is the cemetery and the Veterans Memorial.
So that's it, that's what is accounting for this?
If you-
And also the newsletter, remember the newsletter, you guys were hoping to go digital last year, so we were trying to cut out the postage. Nobody went digital, so we still have the postage, so that's why I kinda separated them out. And of course, postage is going up.
Where did that show up before? Newsletters,
So it says newsletter over to the left-hand side under
Yeah.
mileage,
yeah.
so you see under 6,000.
So there's two different line items for newsletter.
Cause you guys asked me to separate it out the last time.
At our last meeting, because I had asked what the postage was,
Okay,
because I was shocked how expensive
Right,
it
yeah.
was to, yeah,
okay, I
so
see.
that's why she separated it.
Okay, thank you.
And then if we subtract the 16,000 for the signs, we'd be back down within $500 of what it was. Like. For years past.
Okay,
And where are the signs going?
The
That-
little
Yes.
cemetery downtown. And a sign for both sides of Veterans Memorial Park. The signs are, they're wooden and about to fall down, but well. The cemetery signs are falling down right now, the one in East Rush just fell down this summer. It's time to replace them, they're all wooden and
And you're working on that currently? Okay,
Sumi is. Putting them together.
Yeah, I got a couple of quotes and passed them on to the other DJ, so I'm sure who should really handle it, but I did.
okay. So this next grouping is bothers me. And having to do with your position, Janice, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot here. Your position, but your department, the supervisor's department for budgeting and finance. And so we have in here for accountant, software and payroll software, $23,000. How much of that is for accounting services versus software and payroll software? I only ask because we're paying you as well. And you're, we have director of finance, we have director of budget, so your salary is split, so you gotta look, you gotta know what you're looking for to see what you're actually making. And it's a part-time job. So it's budgeted for about, if I'm right, if I found the right pieces in this, well, 48,250 for part-time work for your position. But yet, we are also paying an outside accounting firm to do some of the job that, in my opinion, should have been handled in the finance office internally. They always were. Because a few years ago, 3 years ago, I think, I did some research with another board member on getting help in that office, because we had, prior to you, we had someone that was very inept, shall I say, and wasn't getting the job done. And we had to, because we were late in reporting to the New York State Controller's Office. Seriously late and delinquent in our reporting responsibilities, that we had to hire an outside accounting firm to help with our internal accounting work. But yet we're still doing that, and I don't know why that hasn't been cut off and taken back in-house, because we're paying a lot of money. Now, I know this includes some software, I believe, that we have to pay for accounting software,
Mhm.
but I have no idea what the breakout is for. Because I know that we're doing, because when I did the audit of the supervisor's office, which included your department. FYI, all the departments get audited, and the town board members take turns auditing the other departments, and I got picked for this one. So I got to see what you were giving me versus what you were giving to me that was prepared by the outside accountants, and it was quite a lot of stuff that they were still doing. Because when I asked you for certain things, you couldn't answer my questions until you got them on the phone and got the questions asked. And I'm saying, why aren't we taking that back in-house? Why are we paying an outside accounting firm when we have a budget and finance director internally? And what's the number?
Why is it, but it, I guess I've got some follow up with that. Why is it $4,000 less this year than what it was in 2023?
Yeah, I mean,
So the budget's already less than what it was 2 years ago.
but it's more than it should be. We should not have to pay an outside accounting firm for monthly work to keep track of our cash flow, our expenses, the fund balance accounting, all this stuff. I just don't know why we're still paying an outside accounting firm. It's my question. And you know, you see the numbers, but we don't have the detail. And you can get back to us because I think,
I got the breakdown.
okay,
So we spend about 18.7 a year to the accountants right now. That includes the payroll software, which is normally between 6 and 7 grand. They also do our AFR, and then they also do like the end of the month reports.
so. We're talking about $15,000. If I'm doing the math right in my head, of additional accounting costs for stuff that we should be doing internally. In my opinion,
So 6 to 7, you're down to at least 12,000, because it's 18,000. For the accountant themselves.
when you said the software,
For
I don't know what's in this
payroll-
$23,000 number.
Right, okay, so so I just gave you the accountant's number, and then you have the accounting software, which is another $4,000, which we pay that directly.
So where is that? Is that on top of the 23?
No, that's included in the
Included in
23.
here. So what's in the 23 altogether?
The accounting software for 4, the payroll software for, say, 6,500, and then the remaining is your accountants.
Okay, so we have 10.5.
There you go. And that gives you your AFR, which is normally, 5 grand or more.
What are you talking about
Your annual fiscal report that gets filed with the state.
with the state?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then they
Um,
also, like I said, double check Dan every month.
Well, that's what you're supposed to be doing. And that's when you give us the reports, if we get them. We have a chance to look at them. And question things. We get them, it's better than it used to be, but we by no means get them monthly. And they're supposed to be coming to everybody monthly. So I guess I would like, for me. And the board can say what they want. But I would like to know, why can't you take back those services and we tell the accountant, the outside accountant, that, for the monthly work, we don't need, we're gonna do that in-house. And shave off this budget. Think about it. We should be doing that. We always did do it internally. Our budget director from 4 years ago did all of this. So that to me is a big number. Relatively speaking. For our town. And that one, that's been on my mind for some time now, but here we are.
So So if we weren't using LGSS, we'd have to buy our own payroll software.
Correct.
That,
Well, couldn't we still use their software?
No, it's licensed through them.
I know, and you pay a license fee. How do you know?
Because it's already been addressed.
Oops. I'm sorry.
It's already been talked to with them, and they're not interested in selling us their license. So we would have to go directly to ADP if we decide to go there, paychecks.
So.
And so as I've been getting numbers, that's why I'm saying it's between 6 and 7.
And for, well, I think if you could research that. And meet with the supervisor who can report back to us before we finalize the budget. To see what that's going to save us. By shaving off that work that we're paying outside consultants for.
So anywhere we do go with a payroll company, you will have a setup fee, so. You might save long term, I just don't know that you'll save much this year. Just to warn you ahead of time.
I guess I would like to see all the components that go into these numbers. And what it would cost us. And to talk to our current accounting firm again about leasing their software. We pay them for the use of their software. And if we need, because I think we still need them for that year-end report or not, can we take that back? In-house? The filings of all of that?
I would have to look into it.
Right, because I think we used to do all that. If
It's
Not
also
the same.
changed, it used to be an AUD and now it's an AFR, so a lot of that has changed even within the last 2 years.
so I think we need to look at areas that can easily be taken back in and, you know, this is stuff that we did historically and I know this. And I don't know why we haven't stopped paying for that. Because my understanding is that at some point, we were paying you extra. The budget piece, maybe it was, or whatever, I don't know, some piece of your salary, because you said you could do it.
So you used to be paying the accountants close to $40,000 and we cut it down to 18 and gave me 8,000 out of that 22,000 that you saved.
Okay, I guess I'd like to understand what we're paying for. Again, only because I know that we did all of this in-house. And, you know, we'd like a breakdown for all of those things that we're paying for. Does anybody have any comment on that or agree?
Look into it.
I'm sorry, Luther?
He said that, I believe he's referring to when he was on the board back in 2000. Person that.
Correct, we had,
John, get it full time.
okay. I think
You say she was full-time?
I don't think we,
I'm pretty
full
sure.
time, I don't know, and then
No,
we
she's
had
part-
another person that was, I think, not full time. We had Dan Clinic, I remember him.
I'm maybe sure it was full time, but I remember her here all the time,
Okay.
so, I mean, she did a great job. I'm not sure why we ended up writing this up. I was simply speaking. The one person,
Okay, because it adds up with paying salaries and all kinds of stuff, and then outside consultants and just, I think we need to investigate that and maybe reduce part of this budget if we can. for personal services for budget, again, this could be just another rounding error. It's coming in, this is account 1340.1, coming in at 3.4. And then above that, account 1310.1. You have yourself in there for an 11.1% raise.
No, it's 3.2.
How, the math is telling me 11.1.
No, just look at the year end projection. So there was a step increase after the budget. Which I told you that one. So if you look at what I'm actually making and do a 3.2%, that is exactly what it is. And same with the other one. I think I have to round to the nearest 10. Or
So
I should.
you're saying, okay. That your salary was approved at 40,926 versus 37. I'm looking at last year's approved,
You're looking
Accepted
at
budget.
2024. You just said 37, that's 2024. That's not 2025.
I'm sorry.
But yes, 40,926 is what I'm making right now.
Right,
So yeah, and then
versus the
times,
38, I'm sorry, 38.
and then if you do a 3.2% increase,
Because you're saying that 38 should have been 40,
so yes, the 40,926. Yep.
that was not in last year's budget, but it came out of this year's money. Okay. When I look at the assessor section,
Mhm.
and I think I answered my own question, if I look at assessor personal services, 1355.102 account,
Mhm.
who is that for? Is
That's
that
the
for the
clerk.
clerk?
Yep.
That's the clerk?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, the assessor is not considered an employee.
right, I understand that, I just was wondering whether we were doubling up somewhere, but you're saying on the assessor coordinator project, that's for the assessor,
Correct.
okay? Okay. The clerks seem to be in line. The 1410.1. So I'm moving on down, at least on my highlights. For legal fees. Account 1420.4. We're budgeting $100,000. That to me seems out of control. As a board member, I would like to see a full analysis of what is in that. Again, this goes back to my prior comments about the offsets for the legal fees that we bill out to applicants. I don't know whether that's included in there. But you know, we need to get a handle on that. I'd like to know what's in that number. More detail. Like what's our arrangement? What's our retainer and what does that cover?
There's 58,000 a year.
58,000.
Yep.
So that's a big difference. Between 58,000 to $100,000.
We get a breakdown on it. I know the bills are made, so they go to different applicants and projects, and they're working on Mrs. Weaver. Yeah, get detail on what.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean, it's your planning board, it's your zoning board, it's
Yeah.
everything, any of the, you know, people who need the, you know, any residents who need the legal fee for their application, you know, that kind of stuff.
I mean, the number itself doesn't seem too out of whack, and year to date, we're over $45,000 and.
Yeah, so far.
$40,000.
I'm just questioning because I don't think it really reflects, and I've been saying this for a long time. It does not reflect what our true legal fees are. It's been a problem for years and every time I ask, I can't get the breakdown. Because, again, if you could see the ins and outs, because I should see a corresponding increase in the revenue side if we're billing out and getting reimbursed. You know, on the solar contracts, we had these big escrow accounts that they have to, those things are not closed out yet, to my knowledge. Those things are still going on.
Yes, go to still.
And the escrow accounts are still open, so when they drop down below a certain level, we're supposed to request to get reimbursed from the developers. And so it would be nice to know what the true legal fees are. Because for some of this, we get reimbursed, some we don't. And you know, what's covered in our retainer. It's hard. And you should have this, you know, because as you're approving attorneys to pay a retainer, what's covered under that? Because this is a big number we have in here and, you know.
Well, because I wasn't here do we know how it broke down in 2023? Because it was $140,000 in legal fees?
Again, that,
No, I'm asking because I wasn't here. so
yes, because that was part of the audit that we had done. And we uncovered maybe 50 grand of monies that were not being reimbursed to the town that offset legal and engineering. In addition to that, we had set up these escrow accounts for the solar projects. Big dollars for big legal fees. So that 139,000, that 140 grand. Does not represent the true cost to the town in legal fees. We got a chunk of money back that, you know, it's misleading. And it's been misleading to know truly what our legal fees are and what we're gonna get back. And that's why that's shown that way, because it doesn't truly reflect the net number of what the town actually was out of pocket. And I've been asking for that for a long time, and I
All that it will be reimbursed
can't get it.
when we bill out. All that gets reimbursed when we get bill out, the abstract that you have. All the bills that we get from the attorneys and the engineers. Every time we get those bills go out and everything is coming in,
That's good to know.
so.
It is
And
now, I just like to know
the
why we're
attorneys-
not offsetting our.
Yeah,
true
the
costs
attorneys are
there.
still going to the planning board and possibly the zoning board.
Right, so those
Meetings.
would not be
So-
reimbursed.
Those aren't reimbursed, those are additional costs.
Just for time,
Mhm.
I'm sorry,
just for attending the meetings.
which they were when it was $140,000, they were attending all of them.
They were trying to limit the different meetings that they actually had to be there. There's some, don't have to be every meeting. And it doesn't require the church to do their own engineer,
Correct.
and we're working at laying out which exactly they need to be there for, and which they don't.
Years ago, they were never asked to attend, but very rarely when the chairs had a difficult
The
question.
chair wanted both the attorney and the engineer making every meeting.
Right, I know. I know. Anyway, if we could get, a better handle on the true cost of legal.
All the bills start reflect everything that they charge for and stuff and gets forwarded to the applicant and stuff, town's responsible for it, it's all over the town.
Mhm.
I guess I had always asked. And for whatever reason, doesn't happen, but it would be helpful to show what you call a contra account. That would show the offset to the legal fee, so you could see the net. To have it presented as a contract account, then you'd see it all right there, and you'd say, okay.
I think that makes sense to me. I'm not an accountant, I wouldn't know how to.
So you have the revenues, which have a 15% admin fee, you have to have it on the revenues. Cause it
I'm
has
just
a
asking for,
15%.
like. As a project, and again, this is not a new question. To look for that contra account to be displayed here as the offset when we get reimbursed, so we pay these things, but that's not the true net cost of the town. Cause we don't see it, Just,
Does it come in the report, monthly reports, in the revenue of the planning and zoning applicants? And the revenue coming in when we take in the payment?
No, you put them separate.
Okay.
It's under the 21/7. But there's also other things in there, so
Mhm.
you have to have it as a revenue.
just suggesting, guys, that you pay attention to this and ask these questions every single month. To know, so that you know. Where the money is being spent.
So only because it's right underneath the. Engineering fees.
Yep,
But there's an easy way to see engineering fees reimbursement. Wouldn't that be,
same thing.
wouldn't that be simple as just setting up a budget code for us to know what lawyer fees are coming back?
Yeah, that's the 21/70 or.
Engineering, that's engineering. I'm just saying, if we wanted to Gene's point,
Oh, yes, so yes, we can,
if there was there was a budget line for revenues of legal fees. For said expenses, like the solar, the
Yeah,
big ticket ones that you
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
Um,
Cause it comes from, but.
I guess, to that point, like. I mean, engineering is way down, so that's.
yeah, so maybe we're getting a handle on that, okay. Again, but the numbers are put in here and I don't mean to bore you to death with this, but, yeah, I thought that the engineering fees at 45,000 was getting under control. When I saw the legal, I said, well, that deserves a question,
When they wanted that.
in my mind.
And it is also almost half of what was spent, we did at like 23, but I know what you said about the solar stuff and everything else going on.
Yes, you can't even look, at that, because it was accounted for wrong. But those are not good numbers that you're looking at.
These,
Yeah,
If it's for engineering.
I'm telling you right now,
would that be, okay.
in the earlier years, the accounting was totally screwed up, totally.
In 23, you're saying?
I am, yeah, whatever. What year is that? 23 act.
The engineering too breaks down.
We had to bring in an outside auditor. So don't even pay attention to that year for those numbers. They're totally inaccurate. And I would not depend on them.
Oh, I got to go by.
I know, but I'm saying to you, look beyond that. And let's get the accounting so that you guys, look, I'm coming off the board, but you're still on the board. You need to account to our taxpayers and me as a taxpayer, that
Agreed.
you're looking at it.
Agreed, but if you
Thank you.
weren't here sitting next to me
Yeah.
explaining some of these things, then I would be saying, then we're trending in a good direction by going down from where we were
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah, because it's not. They started doing, maybe getting a little bit better, but that 2023 and earlier years is a total mess.
What we can do is when we create the invoices from the legal bills that we get, we can do something with the invoices that we create in the clerk's office to send out so that we know when the funds are coming in to be paid, that they're strictly going to legal, because previously the lawyers and the engineers didn't always go to the planning and zoning. So when they started billing, it all went into planning and zoning as the way we do the accounting for the end of month town clerk report. So you didn't see a legal,
Offset
you
to,
saw planning and zoning, it was all combined. So we can see if we can change the billing, so in-house, we know when a bill is paid, where exactly to put it.
that would, for everybody's sake, I think.
If that would help.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I have to have it
It's gonna be
separated by
another,
you.
it's just gonna be another item on my town clerk report.
Right, that's fine.
Yeah.
Awesome,
Next week.
yes.
Are you in the 1620s now?
I am. Under building. It's account 1620.430. Building IT. We're budgeting $30,000. Like this whole area, I'm just, because since the detail is here, I'm just asking to understand it. We have money budgeted for, windows and other repairs. Which is fine, we need to budget for those kinds of things, but what's the building IT?
So that, I was gonna say, that includes your phones, gets bills there, but also all the computers, a lot of them have to be replaced. Because, Windows 10 is no longer being supported.
I understand, but there are separate line items under the various budgets that I noticed for computers.
Yeah, but
Separately
we
stated.
still need them to do it and set it up for us.
So this is not for the hardware, this is for support.
Right. Cause we're gonna have increased support as they come in and set up our stuff.
So have you done an RFP for that kind of work or did research to figure out, like, is that a good number? I understand the need for IT support, I get that, but $30,000, what do we? Is that something that you guys should be looking at? And putting out an RFP to us, an IT company. Someone, we do need someone we can depend on and have able to call, because we don't have somebody on staff. And stuff comes up. So I'm not I'm just asking about 30 grand, like,
It's pretty much a call.
We've had them for 27 years, and when we call them, they answer.
okay? So.
And they do all of our IT, they do all the departments, they do setup, they do our, we saved a lot of money getting our, new phone system in. They've connected our highway and our library so that we're all in the same safety loop. They're very reliable. And they've been really good for the town.
It was just questions I had, you know, how, if we're investigating that to get a contract with somebody, whether it's them, whether, you know, whether we've talked to them about being, like, you know, having that role and what's the number. Just my observation.
Well, we started looking for new phone system. They could do it cheaper than anybody else could. We did shop around.
They also finally moved our whole control panel from the basement, getting water on it,
Yeah.
into a very dry location.
That dries.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with water.
Yeah, I'm not disputing that. Everything that was done. I'm sure it was necessary, and, you know, and that's fine.
And we are a little bit more complicated because we have individual department phone numbers. Unlike other towns, because we have direct phone numbers. You go to something else and you're gonna be using one number and like a switchboard.
And we put in, moving down. Oh, wait, I did have this. What is account 1910.4 unallocated insurance contractual? What is that? $62,000.
That's our insurance claims,
Why is it, why is it unallocated? Why do we call it that? What does that mean?
because it's for any kind of insurance claim, it could be fire, it could be flood, it could be. Yeah, whatever, so unallocated means that it can be any of those.
Okay, so that's our total cost that would,
That's a policy that's get canceled.
yeah,
We've used it, what, twice in the last year?
a lot, yeah.
Flood down there, flood the library.
And last year, yeah, well. The sprinkler system in the library.
Yep.
Then the IT problem, it's water leaking through the wall, basement over the computer equipment. And then the flood, June 16th or June 8th. He said that's enough. We met with him today, so. Starting to shop around, see what we can find.
Okay. Our contingency is in here for $68,000. So we have,
We talked about that. For all those extra.
is that a good number?
That's,
Well, we certainly needed it this year.
We did. You did.
we need to build that up, it's one of the windows, for too long, parts are falling off.
Well, windows are budgeted under building, or am I wrong here?
No, you're right, they are, we're gonna have to build that up too,
Is that we have 30,000 in there?
that's. Then we're gonna start it, but, or we don't do the whole project at once. No,
That'll get a few.
Couple.
Oh,
the guy that put in windows, I would hate to put them in there. They could be easy.
Well, because I know that was kind of big. And that was working that night or day, and she said that the one window doesn't even shut off.
doesn't close, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm not disputing the need for them, I'm just saying that's already up in this other part of the budget.
Well, I think it's good, though, we're budgeting 30,000 to allocate towards windows, and if we get towards the end and we haven't used the contingency as much as we have this past year, then we got it. To start doing maybe some building improvements that are desperately needed.
Okay. Under account 3410.1, fire personal services, that's our fire marshal, right? 39.1% increase.
He started working at a rate that, couldn't, he was, had to keep it under a certain level because of, social security. So he was underpaid. He came out and worked for us and really good job. Should be paid.
So we have looked into that, whether that's a reasonable number.
That brings him to,
That's all based on hours, right?
no,
Eight
that's,
hours.
that's,
So
that's what it's paying around the county. It brings it
the-
to a level over. If Doug had stayed in the position, technically would be making with 3% and whatever cost of living rates over time. That's what he would be making. And if Rick left, it would cost at least that much to replace it, because it'd be shorter to fire natural snow. It's short of all kinds of. It's short, start shopping around.
So you're saying that's reasonable?
That's a reasonable number. I know it seems high, but that's, we have to have it, and that's what it costs.
Okay. Okay.
I was gonna say, on certain people too, we could always do executive session if you're concerned and want to address any of their salaries.
Okay. That's up to you, because I have some questions on salaries that are way above what's being projected or proposed for everybody else. And we need to talk about that. We need to talk about that. I don't know what you wanna do, skip,
I, this part of the conversation.
okay, 3620.10. That's a 5% right there, that one. And we haven't talked about it as a board.
Which Kevin recommended some of them you talk about in executive session after the board meeting on Wednesday.
So put that down, that we will discuss some of these things.
Since we are on, 3620, I do have an update. I need to add 1550, I believe, let me just. To the contractual, 1500 even, sorry. To the contractual. Cause we, so for the IPS software, it'll be 5500 instead of 4000. And we just got those numbers.
Okay. Okay. Looking at account 5132.4 garage contractual. That's an 18, it's not personal services, I don't think, but it's an 18.2% increase, so, you know, big part of it is,
The gasoline,
yeah. that correct?
Mhm.
So you're saying it is what it is? Or not?
Yeah, these are the numbers that DJ gave us. I mean, electric, obviously, is going up. Um. The phone and internet and water are not going up that much either, but gasoline. So to my knowledge, I believe when DJ and I talked about the oil prices will be, starting to creep up, and so that's what he was concerned with. It's because as oil goes up, diesel goes up. We pay more.
Okay. Moving to the next account, 5182.4 street lighting. We put in, there's a,
Yeah, I haven't been.
you were going to, right?
Yeah, I need.
It's in there for 25,000 and you thought it might be less.
So the issue is there's just not enough data, right? Since we ended up switching to LED, which when do we have them finally switched over? I feel like it was spring.
It's been a few months now.
I remember driving around.
Was it spring though?
It was, well, the days were long, cause I had to stay up late to drive around.
Right. So the hard part is, since we've had the LED lights, we don't have the shorter nights, right? Like now that it's October, the nights are shorter. But we haven't gotten our bill yet for October because that'll come in November. So it's just. It's an unknown. There's like no data to give us to show us exactly really what we're saving. So I mean, that's personally, as Dan and I talked, we're like, what do we do? I'd rather be high than, guesstimate low and it was wrong.
See if they can get you the way. What
Okay.
general trend for kind of switch.
I just point that out because we
Yeah.
talk about that maybe something else, but. And you confirm the program for the aging, we're gonna continue getting that money, so that's good.
Yeah, that's through.
Yeah.
It should carry through the end of next year.
Mhm. That's good. When I look at account 7110.1 Fox Personal Services, that's a 9% increase. If we can get an explanation of that. And again, account 8010.1 zoning, that's the board, I believe. Personal services, a 12% increase.
Marjorie's salaries being charged to that,
Um,
that's also charged to the plan.
so that would be the same explanation for planning, an 8.4% increase. Environmental control. Up 9.1%. Count 8090.1. Personal services. What's that?
That's the conservation board. So Marjorie goes through all three of them. Her salary gets, because she's the clerk to all the boards.
Yeah. So that's just a funny name for the account.
Can't we change that?
It's,
Change the title of that account, it looks weird,
no, these are all set by the state.
Same question. On account 8664.1, code enforcement,
That's the other half of Rick.
yep. 45.5% increase. Is that reasonable?
That also reflects his replacement cost really.
Right, we just split his salary in half.
Um. Account 8745.1. Flood control. Up 24%. This could be, this is, just stuff that we need to discuss as a board. And if it's an executive session, that's where it should be, but we need to do that because we haven't done that. And it's way outside the range.
Okay.
Um. And again, just looking at the increases for, employee benefits. Huge increases. For us to go all the way down. You know, state retirement system, social security, workers' comp, unemployment, disability, medical. Here it shows at 14%. Other places were like 24%. I don't know why the difference, why there's a difference between departments.
So some of the individuals are not taking the insurance. So they just take a buyout, so the 25% increase in the insurance would not affect them. And we've also had a few people recently pass away. That are no longer on our insurance.
So. We need, I believe. And by the way, your payroll projection tab is. Kind of messed up. I don't think it's.
That's just
accurate.
for me.
I know, but I got it and I'm looking at it. And I'm not accounting on it, but I just wanna,
Yeah, I was gonna
Same.
say, I use it to run, extra things or whatever, so.
okay,
I was gonna say, it's just for bio calculation.
so. Whether you wanna talk about this in executive session or not, but again, it's another conversation. I've been raising for years. And we never seem to do anything about it because I don't know why. It has to do with the town covering 90%. 90% of health insurance for full-time employees who are eligible. With costs increasing between 14 to 25%. And the town is still picking up 90% of the increase. It's unbelievable to me.
Well, we have to try to figure out a way. To cut the amount that we're gonna contribute to insurance. I mean, we need to do that, but how can you do that and then say, okay, you're gonna have to pay more for your insurance. How are we gonna balance that with their pay? I mean,
That's part of the package. When you sit down with somebody,
I can see that, but if I'm an employee and you cover 90% of my health care and I'm getting paid this much. And now I gotta take out of my thing and pay more for this,
yeah,
I'm coming out behind.
so,
I mean, I've got my family here and now I don't have as much money to support them as I did. What happened in other towns is, as they take on new people, they started at a higher rate and lower insurance coverage. But we don't have a lot of turnover. What I saw, just looking at Mendon, they paid 90% if you were hired, well, 89% if you were hired in 2010. And then 2018, it's 85%, and recently they're only paying 80% if you're a recent hire, but
Of that one person though,
yeah, of that one person.
because anybody above and beyond that has to pay their own.
But how are we gonna switch our workforce over without them saying, maybe I can find something else better?
So we've got 5 people making over $100,000.
Yeah. That is
Um,
a problem, and, but I don't know how to.
I'll tell you how, you make them participate more. We change that employee handbook and say, if you want. And that's for ranges of health insurance. That ranges from 17,000 for some person. Up to $50,000 that the town is paying. $45,000 for health insurance for one person. That's,
You're talking their total benefit pack.
No.
Increases for employee benefits,
I'm looking right here.
SS, etc. Morelli. Janice stated that some individuals do not
I
take
just, I
insurance,
don't know what I
they
just
take
did.
a buyout. There are a few people that have recently passed away that are no longer not. Conversations raged for years with town
What the
covering
heck happened?
90% of health insurance for full-time employees. Town is still thinking about 90% increase.
Good job.
What? Yes, it's recording.
Going For insurance and balance with
Is that our transcript?
Yes, it is, word for word.
It's verbatim.
Carry on.
So we have a variety of plans. You know, again, that range. You know, whether it's for a single individual to a Cadillac of family plan, but. You know, I can see that the town would pay. Some level, fair amount of money for a basic plan. But anybody who wants some, a Cadillac version, like who has that? I mean, that you pay for it, cover the basic. You're like, we can get this for you, but you gotta pay for it. And guaranteed, they're probably going to choose something that's not Cadillac. But why wouldn't you, if the town's gonna pay 90% for a $50,000 health insurance plan? It's not sustainable.
No kidding. I don't understand the mechanics of switching that over. I don't have any experience with it. I don't.
We decide as a board, okay, town's gonna do this. This is what private business does. Trust me, no one is doing this.
I see that probably.
You know, unless you know, have a closely held business. You know, where you
Yeah.
get these benefits for yourself, because that's what you wanna do. But other than that,
What, could you look at it? I don't know how that works.
well, we
Could-
have consultants. People who provide this for us as a town. To come in and, you know, help design a different package or talk to your fellow supervisors, what is being done.
So, I mean, they have designed other packages, but nobody's interested in that package, so.
The town has to make the decision,
So-
this is what we're willing to do, because we're asking the whole town to pay for these benefits.
I agree with you, but so that is a board decision. Unfortunately, the
exactly.
supervisor
And I'm
can't
saying
say,
this board
"Hey,
needs to, and the previous boards and future boards. I'm saying, can't we bite the bullet and say, we can't,
I don't disagree that there's other options out there, but I think to the point is. You know, we've been able to retain a lot of quality employees.
and we
And
pay
it
them
provides-
less per
provides
hour."
Services to the town that I would hope people appreciate.
so. All in. Have you done a comparison all in for people making well over $100,000? As a total payroll package compared to another town? I think we're on a high end here. For our little town. And people are used to it, and I get it, and you know, I'm gonna get hate letters. Probably for saying, don't blow my good deal here, but. You owe it to the town why should the town? Unless someone is making a low salary and would prefer to have higher benefits. And that may be the case, but I don't think that's the case. If
I'm
you
not-
look
I'm
at
not-
a strictly salary compared to other towns, we're comparable.
No, we're low. That's what I've been trying to tell you. We're lower than most towns. For,
Not the last time I looked,
I was gonna say, I send you this report. This is everybody in the county per our job descriptions, and you can see how many are red, and those are the ones that are, and most of those are the ones that do have insurance.
Could we meet with someone from Brown and Brown and maybe you could come to the meeting and see if there's. We have to do something, but I just don't know how it works.
So, I mean,
It's
Brown
still
Brown
raining.
has everything that you want. The question is, what do you guys want to cover? You know, we need to give them some guidance to say, we only wanna spend this much, or we only wanna do this. They can give us packages all day long. And then the other question is, do you grandfather people in, or is it,
no, you
you
don't,
know, you
you
take
don't.
everybody?
you don't have to grandfather anybody.
So you wouldn't set a higher after date.
That's what I would suggest to.
No,
And that also affects your retirees, because your retirees are also on insurance.
I see that, I know that. I know that, it's generous benefit. Good for them, huh? You know, we could put in anything, are people willing to pay for it? Are you willing to pay for it, for generous benefits? I don't know. If people say it's okay, then who am I? I'm one taxpayer. I'm just saying,
I don't. If we just cut everybody off. And say, all right, this is what your option is,
yeah,
then we better post an ad, because.
Yeah,
you're probably gonna get a lot of people.
how do we retain people that have worked here for?
I don't know.
Right,
Have you
and,
ever-
and some people have stayed here, you know,
Have you ever
20, 30
looked at
years,
that?
because they're hoping to have a retirement benefit.
I didn't say retirement benefit, I'm talking about health right
Yeah.
now.
As a retirement benefit.
That's a small number of people. Do I agree with what was set up? Not necessarily. I guess I'm factoring in, you know, because the town is contributing to. The state retirement system, that's gone up 6.8%. And on and on and on. And you don't wanna talk about it, then tell people you don't wanna talk about it. But we can't sweep this under the rug, we gotta do it.
It's nothing about not wanting to talk about it, we've talked about this at length multiple times, I feel like we talked about it quite a bit at the last.
All the time, like,
I-
we gotta do something, what are we gonna do?
I was offered a different option and I took a high deductible plan. And even that is becoming to the point where it's, you know, $25,000 a year. For high deductible. So again, I'm not against looking at other options, I just. I think that the fact that we would just walk in here and tell our employees that have, you know, been here for quite many years, I don't know what's our shortest employee? What's his longevity? 2 years? But everybody above that is probably 5+.
Right, I was gonna say, there's quite a few people who are been 20 plus years.
Again, I just, you know, out of respect for some of these people that have worked here for a long time and the services that they provided. And not to mention, these costs are reimbursed to the town. Through the work they do for the state and the county roads.
I'm not talking the highway, this is general right now,
Well, a
but the
majority,
highway-
majority of the benefits are the highway department.
it's still,
So technically you have one person from general on insurance. Out of the general fund.
not true, but,
So I'm just saying, like, a majority of the employees are highway employees that
Correct.
we're discussing about health insurance, and if their benefit is being paid back to the town by work they do for the county, for the state.
then that should go in the analysis. What is the net cost to the town? I'm just, look, I've raised it before. And, you know, I'm not gonna be on the board next year, but I'm hoping that, you know, why wouldn't you discuss it this year? we're paying a lot of money, it keeps going out, same question year after year after year. With increases of, double digit increases to health insurance, everybody knows this. I'm just telling, my experience is with private industry. And every year, the
personally-
package comes out and says, here's what the firm is gonna pay.
Personally,
Yes.
I can tell.
Okay,
Because I'm starting out and working for government and making not a lot of money where I could have gone private and made a lot more. I took the option of having benefits, health insurance, retirement, etc. And I think part of the benefit that the highway department does for everybody in the town, not just a small group, is something that, we can't just chop them off. And again, I'm not saying we don't look at other options, to say everybody that's been here, we just cut them off.
So that is something that you already put in the handbook, that, if they're hired after January 1, that they would, have a reduced,
yes,
service
like,
or, yeah.
look. You raise a good point. But perhaps that should be in the analysis, why would we keep a Cadillac plan? And pay 90% of that? Is because the net cost to the town is X, that it really is not costing us this kind of money?
I think, again, if we set a date of anybody hired. Post this date, that, that's what we're looking at, this is what we have to offer, or this is the percentage that will contribute. And the fact that we're doing, if we did something like that, we're actually working towards making things better and holding them a little more accountable.
Just we don't have to do
This is, well, that's something we had talked about. A bunch of times is, any new employees coming on, that they would be getting a different benefit package that was. We just gotta come up with a plan that's gonna work and implement it. I agree with Derek, that any of these employees that have been employees to yank their rug out from underneath them like that, it's something I don't think as a town we should do. And I've talked to the finance director when I've been in her office about the same thing, we're like, what are we gonna do about this, we got employees that. And I said the same thing that Derek said, I said, we need to, any new employees, I go, but I don't think we should take the benefits that these people have had. Since the beginning, and take it away from them, maybe that's wrong, but
Well, that could be the board's decision.
oh, and, yeah, I mean, it was a full board decision, yeah.
Pointing out the numbers.
Did we get numbers from DJ about how much is actually reimbursed? So it would, let's make it feel a little better. Should be.
I was gonna say, you actually have the number of the total, but.
You don't have to do it this moment, but make a note.
But it's, all counties of the state were. All in state road and county, I mean, that is. That would make it look better. But. Yeah, we've talked about it forever.
I mean, and something else that's not even in here that we haven't even had a conversation about is like the salt mark. I mean, that's on its last legs.
I know.
The 1911 house, I think it's looking great, like, it's actually coming together. But it's not budgeted for the upkeep and maintenance beyond the grant.
Yeah.
And cause I just noted, like, our revenue on that is $1.
Yeah.
So now it's on the taxpayers to maintain that building.
Well, it is a town-owned building, you know that. Okay.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, if that, and this is nothing against the historical society, if that was placed somewhere else or added on to something that was already existing, you could have, your maintenance costs, like say, addition to this building, it could have been a part of this. But now it's a whole entire building, separate from everything else that needs maintenance and upkeep. Parking lot is in rough shape, that'll need paved at some point. So again, I'm just saying, it capital wise, again, salt shed, it's $500,000.
Yeah,
And that's something that through the winter, yes, it maintains the town roads, but it's bringing in revenue for the state and county roads that they all do as well. If the salt barn falls down and they can't get the salt, what do we do?
it's true.
The
There
salt
should
barn-
be, a budget for a reserve for these things that, over time. If something happened to that and you had to pay for that all at once, well, that's a problem.
Yeah.
But we're not reserving for it.
Or
Well, we do have a reserve account. We didn't put any money into it this year,
It's like 9,000 in there,
but,
in the reserve account.
so.
Highway capital, is that is that under the general?
Yes, yeah. Cause it's a general account. So just looking at, what DJ gave us originally, it's 365,000 that we get from, the state and county. That go towards their benefits. He would know the actual percentage exactly of what they cover, but. We get 365,000.
Is that for everything? That's the salary as well.
Right, that's what I'm saying,
That's
that,
everything, not just
yeah.
benefit.
right, that's why I said he would know the percentage of what the actual benefits were.
I'm sure. Okay,
So how do we start putting money aside for the new salt shed without raising taxes?
there's your question.
I thought that that was something with that capital reserve fund that we had just started.
Yeah.
That, I mean, we were gonna take a little bit of money every year to try and keep building into that, so I don't know if that comes out of unexpended funds a little bit every year, and then you
Yeah,
have
but
to
we're-
account, try and create interest, or,
We're gonna spend £30,000 pretty good this year without putting anything in.
Right.
Into it.
right,
It's-
Yeah, I mean, it counts as an expense, so.
Right.
You have to offset your expenses with whatever revenues and unexpended
I
funding.
know there's grants out there, but we didn't qualify for one because we have a salt shed.
The salt barn falls down, we wait for it.
You're not, you're absolutely right, no, that's a fact,
This.
cause otherwise they qualify.
It's for pure water.
Yeah.
If the salt starts leaching into the creek.
Right.
Give us one to warrants rebuild.
Right.
The salt plant.
And I know what the town of Lyman just had that, their salt shed did come down, and then they qualified for the grant. So then, but now they don't have a shed now because they're waiting for everything to get processed through, but they're getting the new facility to.
But
cover the
even if
salt.
we qualify for the grant, we have to fork up the money first and then get reimbursed for it.
Yeah.
That's the question. We don't have anything in there now, so
And how much do we make back,
whatever you think.
Dan? How much do we make back from the county and state? They pay. Payroll, pay.
She said, Janice, what'd you say, 300?
365,000.
That's your, so 365 is the total. For. Highway gets reimbursed from the state and towns, but that's not just benefits, that's salaries and everything, and yes, we're gonna get those percentage of what needs the benefits from DJ.
I didn't really have too much with, library, I don't know if you have questions on that. Or drainage or water, they were small amounts, I didn't spend a lot of time on those, areas.
It hasn't really increased anything for budget. Inside the. That shows a big exception for an extra $1,000 in purchasing more books. Well, besides that, everything else pretty much remain flat except for salaries, which is controlled basically by the increase in minimum wage. Which seems to be driving the whole budget over there.
pretty much, I mean, all of their personal services, I see coming in at 5.5%, which I thought it was going to be sticking to the 3.2, so I guess I don't understand.
I thought it was.
So she did do, when she gave you this, she showed you, they are 3.2, but there is 3 people that she's looking to do a merit raise with.
I see,
And she always sets money aside for that.
okay,
Doesn't mean she's gonna use it, but there's 3 people with potential to get a merit raise this year.
Right, so
Okay.
she tries to plan on it just in case.
I know they run a tight ship there and they have trustees that are watching everything, so I'm less concerned.
It is a huge expense. For a library though. And
It's-
listen, I like it because I take my daughter there, but
Yeah,
I'm just saying,
It is a huge expense.
almost $300,000
for,
the library, $287.
all in,
Yeah,
Yeah. It's a service. It's, you know.
no, I know, I'm bringing it up, and again, I'm not against the library, I like the library because I take my daughter down there, I think Christy does an amazing job. I'm just, for something that not everybody uses versus like a road,
I don't.
And unfortunately, there's nothing for her to really make money, right? Like there's nothing to get, for her to do to bring any kind of income in. So it's,
Yeah, but they-
purely mostly funded by.
but
the
he
village.
tries. She's always holding some sort of event.
He's actually backed off on some of the events because it costs too much to. put them on.
Mhm.
Cause she used to provide those summer concerts that usually are pretty well attended, and she said it just got too expensive to. For bands to come in and stuff like that to perform.
Yeah, but something like that, a band, it's not like she's getting money back for that.
Right,
That's
that-
totally a
that's-
service,
that's just a service
it's,
she gets.
right.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying, everything she does is a service, it's not really much she could bring in for anything.
I don't like it at all, did you?
looking at it. I mean, I agree, I think their library is an asset to the town.
My major concern is their fund balance,
Yeah.
that's getting low.
Yep,
Well,
I saw that. They're getting way down,
down like 12% or something.
Mhm.
so that would be a question. What are they gonna do when they don't have? I mean, they're using 33,000 out of their fund balance to make their budget balance. Which brings them down to 12%. As a percentage,
Mhm.
what are their plans?
I don't know that they have any.
You know,
I mean, that'll be either the hours, that'll be something that the town board really has to start to decide. When they finally depleted it, what do you still pay for? Do you raise taxes just to keep covering the library, or do you cut back on hours, to cut back on staff to? I don't know, I mean, that's where it's get,
Cut the library of staff. What else do you cut?
right. She doesn't have much.
There's really nothing, cause it's not like Kirsten's out there spending money on a bunch of frivolous stuff, like she's getting what she needs, the only thing there is really to cut, and that is. Is cut your staffing now.
Service and then.
Right. I'm not saying we should necessarily, I'm just saying, but that's your only option.
long term. They need to be, I'm sure they're thinking about that, but that's something. I mean, the good questions, they're eating away at the fund balance. Again,
Right,
to
that's,
balance this.
I mean, when you're talking about fund balance, that's the one I'm worried about.
So. Hopefully I gotta imagine, just knowing how they operate, that they are having meetings about that, what to do. Fundraisers, whatever, to try and and meet that challenge. Seems people are willing to give to fundraisers for library. Maybe they need to do that. Long term. Other than that, you know. They're in line with things, it's just that stuff goes up.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
the main one, to your point, Derek, is the, you know, salaries, it's, you know, more than half the budget, total budget. And what could they do about it? I don't know. But it would be a conversation to look at beyond this year, what are they gonna do to balance it next year?
No, they have to be real, but we will meet it.
Right?
And I mean, the, you know, option two is to, you know, allocate more of taxpayer dollars towards them, that's always. An option.
Which is something I had, thought that we should be looking at between the highway and the general. Obviously, this is a bad year, with these other costs for equipment,
Mhm.
but, you know, that had, to me, traditionally been out of whack. Looking at the fund balances in the highway, you know, because the town general fund
Yeah.
covers a lot of things having to do with the highway,
Mhm.
but we don't get reimbursed, and I was thinking, if we weren't in this position this year with using so much of the fund balance.
Yeah.
That we should do what Janice is suggesting we think about
Mhm.
in terms of reallocating where the taxpayer dollars go.
Yeah. We-
Because the town was in a serious
Yes.
way with the fund balance.
Yeah.
Last year,
Yes,
because that's when we were getting close to that 30%.
that's correct.
Yeah.
And we had to do something,
That's why we did the 2% vote.
correct.
Yes.
And a lot of that, you know, right or wrong, we had so much, you know, with between 250,000 for the town hall roof. And that ongoing saga,
Yeah.
enormous amount of money that was not budgeted for.
Yeah.
Okay, so, you know, hopefully we don't have that coming again for some time, but
Or some wood.
one never knows. I'm sorry,
Or some wood around here.
I would like to see, you know, people actively pursuing grants, looking what's out there. You know,
Well, I looked in the grants, Pat does a great job. And fortunately, our income level is kind of high and
I know we're not eligible for a lot of things because of the town's median income,
we have recently got some grant money.
and that all helped, it's awesome.
Yeah.
We took care of a lot of things that needed, and thankful that we got that. I think we gotta keep looking
Mhm.
for
I
opportunities.
almost daily. Grant available. There's selected things, I look at them and if there's a possibility, I forward it to Pat. And then, well, it's like the pickleball. That came on, I forwarded it to her and she rushed through it and got it. So. There was a great demand for that particular grant fund,
Yeah,
so. They can only so they're trying to spread it among a bunch of communities, so we might only get enough money to make one pickleball. If they wanna spread it out,
oh,
which, like. Maybe we only need one, and one would be certainly easier to spot somewhere on the property without doing a lot of
You could fit that in here.
Hmm?
You could fit it in here. There's 3 courts inside 1 basketball court. Just to give you an idea of what the actual size is.
It was like 30 by 60.
Yeah, it's pretty small.
That's looking into what the new price for the fence would be to go around it. See how much it would cost the town, so, but
But she's got money in her, capital, yeah.
Yeah.
$50,000 and change.
That's where she was gonna pull whatever she didn't get from the grant.
Yeah,
yeah, for the fence.
makes sense, so it seems like something we can do at no cost to the town.
Yeah, that was the whole.
We wouldn't need any new monies.
In a
to
round.
move out.
Yes, I mean, the money's there, that's been collected.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we
so it
would
says-
be using our guys, you know,
Right,
so.
Yeah.
right,
But which, to Gene's point, it's not affecting our budget this year.
No.
It's money, it's
no,
money that we already
it's
have.
nothing we need,
Yeah.
like to try and make it a possibility, it's a nice benefit, but that won't cost us anything, so we like that. Where do we go from here? You, anybody else have questions? Anything I didn't raise that you think we should talk about?
I think we covered it nice.
Yeah. I'm sure it's certain what to do.
Are we adding on an executive session to Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay,
So it's stuff like that,
Yeah.
After.
Yeah, the meeting.
Is there any changes that you want to the budget to, you know, go to the next step and do?
Some of the
preliminary?
reductions in the
Yes.
revenues will, how far will that affect?
correct, yeah, how does
I
that,
think it's $10,000, so. We just need to spread that out amongst all budget codes.
So to reduce the ones that we talked about, they were in the general,
yeah,
so it would stay, the money would stay in the general.
But we just gotta distribute that amongst them all,
Yes, yes,
to stay below 2%.
yeah, I thought you meant to, yeah.
No.
So I will make those changes and we will give them to you Wednesday.
Indeed.
You're gonna give that to Counselor?
Yeah.
Everyone will adjourn.
Exactly.
Oh, all in favor?
Thank you, everybody.
Yes, exactly. I will give that.
Thank you all.
That's so very well.
Great.
Yeah.